Review how we deal with percentages. In this case, in word problems, but how do we deal with percentages? So remember, there's one rule. What do we always have to convert a percentage to before we can do arithmetic with it? Say it again. Well, okay, you're on the right track, but what type of number? A decimal, right? We always want to convert it to a decimal. So 45% means 45 per hundred, right? 45 hundredths. How do I move the decimal to turn 45% into a decimal number? What do I do with the decimal point? 2 in which direction? To the right. Left. You're right. Left. Yeah, no, you're right. So it starts there. We're going to go 2 to the left. So it's going to become 0.45, right? Okay. So now we're going to go back to that stuff we talked about before roundup here. So we're trying to solve this simple story problem. What number is 45% of 84? Okay, so what's our unknown here? No, 45% is given, but what's the number, right? So call that x. So all this stuff right here, what number? Well, we don't know. That's our unknown. We'll call it x, right? What does is mean? Equals 45% of 84. How do I calculate 45% of 84? Yes, sir. There you go. We're going to multiply the percentage as a decimal times the number, right? 45% of 84 is 0.45 times 84. So this one ends up, if we kind of look at this solution, well, they let n equal the number. I would call it x, but they call it n. That's fine. So what number, that's n, is equals 45% is 0.45 of means times, right? If we're doing a percentage of, that means we're multiplying the percentage times 84. And that's pretty simple. We just get an answer of 37.8. That's our answer. Okay. Give me 1 to 5. That all makes sense? Okay. All right. Another one, another percentage one. So think about that one for a second. 8.5% of what amount is 4.76? Okay, what's our unknown here? What amount? What amount is our unknown? So that's what we would call x. Well, then how would I say 8.5% of x? There you go. Good. 0.085 times x, right? That's how we'd say that stuff is equals 4.76. So everybody agree that's what we get? 0.085 times n, or x, equals 4.76. Easy to solve. Just divide each side by 0.805. And if we do all that stuff, what do we get? I guess we get 56. Okay? Make sense? Okay. How about this one? 168 is what percent of 112? What's the unknown this time? The percent, yeah, the percent. So how am I going to write that one? So 168 is equals what percent of 112? Yeah, right? It would just be what percent, that's x, of is times 112. And we're just solving for x, right? Now, when we solve for x, what kind of number are we going to get? Say it again. Maybe, but is it going to be a decimal or a percent initially? It's going to be a decimal, isn't it? We'll have to convert that to a percent. Okay, so that's what we got, right? If we solve this thing, we get 1.5. So what is 1.5 as a percent? 150, because we just have to move that decimal 2 places to the right, don't we? To go from decimal back to percent. Because isn't 1 100%? So 1.5 would be 150%, right? Okay, so convert that to a percent and we got it. Okay. You could kind of just check the reasonableness of that answer too. 168 is what percent of 112? Well, it has to be bigger than 100% because 168 is bigger than 112, right? So it makes sense that we get 150%. Okay, give me 1 to 5. How are we doing on that? Okay. All right, one more. I'm going to turn you loose, let you finish this assignment up. So the label on Audrey's yogurt said that one serving provided 12 grams of protein, which is 24% of the recommended daily amount. What is the total recommended daily amount of protein? Okay. So this asks a question here. What is it we're trying to find? Okay. And that would be our unknown, wouldn't it? Everybody agree? That's the only thing we don't know here. What we're trying to find is the unknown. So all this stuff, all that stuff is just X, isn't it? Okay. So then one serving provided 12 grams of protein, which is 24% of the recommended daily amount. How am I going to turn that into a sentence? It might be easier. Can you restate this much more simply? Like, how could you take all the unnecessary words out of that? Say it again. There you go. And maybe to restate it simply, you could even say 12 grams is 24% of recommended daily amount, which when we convert into our variables, oops. Oh man, what's that doing? Okay, so A, they called it A is total amount. We called it X, total amount of protein. So write a sentence to summarize that, right? That just gives us the information. 12 grams is 24% of total amount. That's all stuff that we know what to do with, right? 12 grams is just 12, is equals 24% of 0.024 times our unknown total amount, right? So there's our equation. It's an easy one to solve. I divide each side by 0.24 and I get 50. So there's my answer. What's the total recommended daily amount of protein? 50 grams. Does this make sense then? 12 grams is 24% of what? Well, yeah, it'd have to be a number bigger than 12 grams, quite a bit bigger, so 50. Okay? That makes sense? Okay. So have you've started this assignment? Has anybody finished this assignment up, the story problem one? Okay. A few people have. That's fine. So if you're done with this, it's a short day today. You got 25 minutes or something to just kind of work on other stuff. Otherwise, I'll let you have this time to kind of finish this assignment up and work on it, get questions answered. Tomorrow, move on to some different stuff.